Why Trump's latest blunders are making Canada our frenemy. Canada has long been the friendly neighbor who borrows a cup of sugar and never forgets to return it. A reliable ally, a peaceful partner, and a country that, until recently, seemed willing to tolerate whatever nonsense America threw its way. But patience isn't infinite, and thanks to Donald Trump's trade policies, reckless diplomacy, and general inability to function as a rational world leader, Canada might finally be ready to walk away from the toxic relationship.
And where would that leave us? Crying into our overpriced maple syrup and wondering why we didn't appreciate them when we had the chance.
Let's start with the obvious. Trump's love affair with tariffs. If tariffs were a person, Trump would be proposing to them on a gold-plated Mar-a-Lago balcony. His obsession with taxing the hell out of imported goods has managed to upset not just China, Mexico, and the European Union, but also Canada, the country that was supposed to be our best buddy in the trade world.
Steel and aluminum tariffs? Oh, Canada loved that. Nothing says special relationship like slapping your closest ally with an economic punishment typically reserved for hostile nations. Because, of course, when you want to boost American industry, the best way to do it is by making everything more expensive for everyone. Genius.
And what was Canada's response? A very polite but firm, "Are you serious, eh?" Followed by their own counter-tariffs on American goods. Suddenly, maple syrup and Canadian whiskey became more expensive. And let's be honest, without whiskey, how are Americans supposed to get through the news cycle?
Then there was Trump's decision to blow up NAFTA and replace it with the creatively named USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which was basically just NAFTA with a weird haircut. The changes were mostly superficial, except for one key difference. Canada had to swallow a bunch of new regulations while the US got to pound its chest and pretend it won something.
Canada, like a patient and underappreciated spouse, tried to make it work. But let's be real, Trump was treating them like an afterthought while giving the trade version of a sloppy, desperate bear hug to China. Oh, wait. Except Trump also declared a trade war on China, which made everything worse. Because if you're going to light your economy on fire, why not do it from multiple angles?
At some point, even the nicest country in the world gets fed up. And Canada might just be at its breaking point. What are they supposed to do? Continue dealing with a United States that treats them like a punching bag? Or just hear me out, join the European Union?
Yes, you read that right. Canada could say screw it and start dating the cool, sophisticated EU instead. Imagine it, free trade with Europe, no ridiculous tariffs, and a future where their economy isn't constantly being yanked around by whatever Twitter rage spiral the US president is having that morning.
Of course, Canada isn't geographically in Europe, but since when has logic mattered in geopolitics? The EU already lets in random countries that barely touch Europe. Looking at you, Cyprus. So why not Canada? They share values, they're both into human rights and functioning healthcare, and they can bond over their mutual exhaustion with American drama.
And if Europe doesn't work out, Canada could always make an even wilder move, signing a massive trade deal with China.
Now this would be a plot twist worthy of a Netflix drama. Canada, the country that America has taken for granted for decades, might just waltz over to China and say, "Hey, we hear you're into one-sided trade deals. Let's talk."
Sure, China is no angel. The Chinese Communist Party makes authoritarianism look like an art form, but at least they'd be offering Canada stability. Canada could sell them all the natural resources they want, while China could flood Canada with cheap goods. It would be like NAFTA, except with fewer Twitter meltdowns and more censorship.
And if the US tries to retaliate, Canada can just point out that America literally pushed them into China's arms.
It's like a toxic relationship where one partner keeps taking the other for granted until they finally leave, and suddenly it's, wait, Come back. I didn't mean it.
Let's take this nightmare scenario to its logical extreme. Imagine Canada going full scorned lover mode. They start voting against America at the UN, they build closer military ties with Europe, and worst of all, they ban all US celebrities from filming movies in Vancouver. That's right, no more Hollywood blockbusters disguised as American cities. Goodbye, Deadpool. Goodbye, every CW show pretending to be in New York.
And then, just for fun, they might start secretly helping Mexico build their own wall. Not to keep people out, but to keep Trump's policies from contaminating their economy any further.
At this point, Canada's basically the protagonist of a revenge movie, and America is the clueless ex wondering where it all went wrong.
And let's not forget the ultimate betrayal. What if Canada suddenly stops sending its hockey players to the NHL? Imagine a world where American hockey teams are filled with players who have never seen snow before. Absolute chaos.
If Canada seriously shifts its alliances, America wouldn't just lose a neighbour. It would lose billions of dollars in trade, security cooperation and cultural exchange. This wouldn't just be a bad breakup. This would be America getting ghosted by its best friend and left on read indefinitely.
The manufacturing sector would take a massive hit. Many American companies rely on Canadian supply chains to keep their operations smooth and efficient. If Canada decides it's better off dealing with Europe or China, American businesses would have to scramble to find alternatives, probably at higher costs and lower quality.
Financial markets would react too. Investors like stability, and when one of America's closest allies starts hedging its bets elsewhere, Wall Street starts sweating.
Economic uncertainty doesn't look good on a balance sheet, and Trump's impulsive decisions have already made global markets uneasy. If Canada walks, expect another round of market turbulence.
And let's not forget politics. Future presidents would have to spend their first few years groveling to get Canada back on America's side. Because even the most MAGA hat-wearing nationalist knows that losing Canada would be an embarrassment on the world stage.
The moral of the story? Maybe, just maybe, America should stop treating Canada like an afterthought. If you keep punching your best friend, don't be surprised when they stop answering your calls and start hanging out with the cool kids in Europe and China instead.
And if Canada does end up leaving us for another trade bloc, we'll only have one person to blame. The guy who thought international diplomacy was just another season of The Apprentice.
Because really, America's future economic downfall won't be caused by China, immigrants, or even socialism. It will be brought to you by Donald J. Trump, the man who thinks governing is just business, and business is just about screwing over everyone you can before the whole system collapses.